Tyrone Bowman live. Welcome to the program on tonight. I read an article in USA Today written by Philip M. Bailey. Now, the headline reads, quote, pack a toothbrush, pack hairspray, end quote. How the Texas Democrats are living on the run. Well, the Democrats have been threatened with jail time. They've been threatened with contempt. They've been threatened with not being able to receive their paychecks. But to date, nothing is working in terms of trying to get them to return to the Texas state legislature to vote for gerrymandering, vote for or against it. So now let's talk about this article here. Wonderful. Mr. B, what's happening? Let's talk about this article. According to USA Today, a child starting kindergarten is a milestone most American families wouldn't dare miss. But it's one John Busey will be absent from this month when one of his daughters takes a first step in her education. The 41-year-old Texas state legislator, whose district includes parts of northern Austin, is among the more than 50 Democratic lawmakers who fled the Lone Star State to thwart President Donald Trump's effort to protect his razor-thin Republican majority in Congress. He packed his suitcase to be gone for 30 days, maybe longer. It makes me scared, it makes me sad, Brucey said in an interview about his self-imposed exodus from his family. I want to be a part of their lives every chance that I can, but what scares me more is if I'm not here, if they grow up and things are worse off in this country because we didn't stop this gerrymandering. And President Trump says that the FBI, quote, have to arrest Texas Democrats who fled to block GOP redistricting plan. Well, wasn't it during the civil rights movement that those who stood against the powers that be at that time, they were threatened with jail time and they went to jail? They were threatened in so many different ways to fight for the rights of all. So let's continue. Let me continue to read this article. Busey is staying at an undisclosed hotel in Illinois while he and his fellow Democrats continue to block the Republican colleagues from conducting official business back in Austin, such as the rare mid-decade redrawing of their state's maps that define congressional district boundaries. He said he's still in touch with this legislative staff who are keeping up with constituents and connecting them to state agencies. Well, why would the Democrats want to come back to Texas, knowing that everything is already rigged, knowing that the deck is already stacked against them? Why would they want to come back, knowing that this is nothing more than a smokescreen under the guise of democracy taking place in an attempt to get their dear leader what he wants in terms of 5 more seats to gerrymandering? I believe Governor Newsom in California said if they want to play the gerrymandering game, then guess what? We're going to redraw the district maps in California as well. But of course, the Republicans don't like that. They don't like the fact that the governor said that he's going to do the same thing in California, yet the Texas governor, the weak, pathetic Texas governor, Greg Abbott, is going along with any and everything. So at least Governor Newsom out in California is doing what must be done. And sometimes if you want to get things done, if you want them to change, you have to take a stand and don't allow anything, anyone, or anybody to move you. Look at the plight. Look at America. America's messed up. You can believe all the propaganda you want. You can listen to all the stuff coming out of Washington, D.C. that is one-sided. People are hurting. I've said this hundreds of times on this program. People are hurting. I talk to people every single day. They can't pay the bills. Food is sky high. Everything is getting higher and higher and higher. Anytime the dollar store is now the 150 store, the $1.50 store, you know something is amiss. When you go into the stores, the food prices are out of control, gas prices are out of control, school tuition is out of control. People are losing their jobs by the hundreds of thousands. And they're saying that the economy is strong and the economy is tanking faster than individuals can think. People are having it hard all the way around. And I'm not for or against anybody who voted for President Donald Trump. I just want to ask you a fundamental question, and don't lie. Is this what you voted for? Because if this is what you voted for, then that means that you should never complain when it starts affecting your state, your family, your district, and everybody that you know in your county or counties. America, quote, we can do better than this, end quote. When people unify, when people get on one accord, irregardless of their differences, irregardless of how they may see things, democracy works like this. I might not agree with your freedom of speech in the way that you express it, but I stand for your right to be able to express freedom of speech without it being suppressed. That should be for everybody. There's a serious problem in this nation. I'm not here on a Saturday night just to be here in front of this camera under this hot light to my right. I'm here for on business. Every time I come before this camera, I don't come here to play. I come here to try to help people, to present information, unedited. My personal opinion doesn't matter. Now let's get back to this article. Texas is a part-time legislature with a $7,200 annual salary, like so many members. Boosie also has a regular job running a statewide organization that provides athletic, academic, and arts competitions for charter school students. Other Texas colleagues who aren't able to work remotely say they are juggling their personal lives, too, amid a partisan firestorm that is spilling over into other Republican and Democratic-controlled states ahead of the November 2026 midterm election campaign. It was the congressional House Majority Leader, Mike Johnson, who said that they are going to be rewarded by their constituents for approving and passing the big, beautiful bill. That's what he said out of his mouth. Remember when they celebrated, they laughed? They're laughing at people's misery. They're laughing at unemployment. They're laughing at the health care being taken away from seniors and those with severe illnesses and disabilities. They're laughing that farmers' crops are rotting. They're laughing that businesses are now going bankrupt. This is a big joke to them. They're laughing because they're doing exactly what they want to do. So it's all a big joke. And when these congressional people have their halls gatherings, they think it's a big joke. And all they want to talk about is Obama. Biden is not the president. Obama is not the president. Of course, then there's this witch hunt, quote unquote, that's going on against the former president, being called a treacherous treasonist. Meanwhile, the Republicans can do no wrong. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, there's no punitive actions being taken against them whatsoever. And you call this democracy? You call this being a united front here in America? When children are going to bed hungry, children are going to school hungry, and those of you that are wealthy and rich and that are doing the right things, we applaud you. because not all wealthy and rich people are evil people. Not all wealthy and rich people are individuals who are heartless and cold. Many of them are doing great things philanthropically. They're performing great acts of humanitarianism. There are great nonprofit organizations that are going to go bankrupt because they don't have the money to keep the coffers full for food to be able to help people. Texas State Representative Donna Howard said she had to take her grandson along when she left town. Baker, who is 4, has one parent in recovery and another who isn't in the picture. He's since become a mascot for the Democratic legislators at the hotel who have volunteered to help watch him when she speaks with constituents, conducts media interviews, or when she needs time alone. It is a village, and my village is stepping up to support me with my grandchild, said Howard, who is 73, whose district includes parts of southern Austin. I can't tell you how many people I don't even normally work with on things who come up and said, can I take him for a little bit and go throw the ball? So he's kind of like king of the hill in a lot of ways. According to this article, USA Today spoke with more than a dozen Texas Democrats at the center of the national tug of war who are facing $500 per day fines plus sharp rebukes from Trump and his allies. Isn't that ironic? They have made arrangements to secure extended child care. They have requested longer than expected work absences and found new locations, for aging loved ones who require 24-hour caretakers. But they also said living in close quarters has an upside. Their relationships and team building have improved with activities such as daily exercise groups. Pack a toothbrush, pack hairspray, because hey, this could go on for a while, and you got to be ready for it, said Democratic State Representative Ann Johnson, an attorney who represents parts of Houston. Johnson, who is 50, participated in the last Texas quorum break orchestrated by Democrats in 2021, when they fled to Washington, D.C. to resist the GOP tightening the state's election rules. She said she was more prepared this time, but added that this fight is a more stressful and significant situation given the Trump administration's pressure campaign. They'll continue to try to break us, but I actually feel, unlike 2021, there's a really strong coalition here, Johnson said. There's a drastic difference now that threats are so much harsher. They're so much more significant. And the risk of what we lose if we are not successful is really large. Republicans are also doing their part to stymie the Democrats' political efforts, not to mention making their personal lives uncomfortable. Well, isn't this what they do? They're very hateful, mean, bigoted, racist people. This is what the Republicans do. Don't be surprised of the mean spirit that's coming from them, because that's who they are. Don't even try to work along with them, because they did not work with Obama when Obama was in office. Stop trying to get along with your political enemies and when your enemies hate you. This ain't church. This is not Sunday school. Politics is a dirty, filthy, vicious game where the strong survive and the weak fall by the wayside. You can't be nice in politics because they take your niceness and your good manners as you being pathetically weak and compromising. But when you're vicious, when you're nasty, when you're outspoken, when you put up a hell of a fight, then they take you more seriously. 3-term Texas GOP Governor Greg Abbott has threatened to arrest and expel the missing Democrats from the legislature. Yeah, they'll get back in. The state's Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton filed an August 18 lawsuit seeking to get 13 of them removed from office. The FBI is also helping with the search for the lawmakers, according to U.S. Senator John Cornyn, a Texas Republican facing his own 2026 primary challenge from Paxton and who made the request for help. Well, all this absenteeism wouldn't be going on if all the other stuff in the country that is happening. You know, let me stop. The biggest and the truth: should I become a trolley driver for 4K a month, or study to become a cooling and heating technician? Well, that's a decision that you'll have to make. You know, which more is feasible for you, the short-term goal or the long-term goal? A lot of people are demanding they come back. Trump told reporters on August 5, you can't just sit it out. You have to go back. Now, you know the Democrats are not going to listen to him. They're not going to listen to anything the president is saying, especially with what's going on in this country. In suburban Chicago, an August 6 bomb threat at the hotel where some of the Texas Democratic legislators have been staying woke them from sleep with a blaring siren echoing through the halls every 30 seconds. It forced an evacuation of the building and took about 2 hours before guests were allowed back inside, several lawmakers told USA Today. That was set up. That didn't just happen. That was a ploy to get them out of the hotel into the streets. Got to call it for what it is. Many of the Democrats said the bomb threat marks a turning point and made them think of officials being targeted in other states, such as Minnesota, where an alleged gunman shot 2 state lawmakers and their spouses at their homes in June, killing one of the couples. And not one Republican offered any condolences to family members of the Democrats who were killed. And when people end up dead, they're going to sit back and say, I had nothing to do with it. It wasn't my fault. My rhetoric didn't cause this. I didn't tell them to do it. They'll deny everything about it. Many of the Democrats said, I read that. We have people who are threatening our lives, threatening our families' lives by exposing us, said State Representative Christian Manuel, who's 38, whose district covers an eastern portion of the state that includes Beaumont, Texas. Manuel, who is Black, takes care of his 95-year-old grandmother and remains in constant contact with family members. Living an hour outside of Jasper, Texas, where a Black man named James Byrd was dragged to death by confirmed white supremacists in 1998. He said the bomb threat at the Illinois hotel reminded him of the potential danger. My family is aware, Manuel said. We are all on alert. For many of the absconding Democrats, these incidents have hardened their resolve to resist what progressive critics say are Trump and Abbott's attempts to change the math in their favor for the upcoming 2026 midterm elections. Well, the bottom line is they're trying to steal the election. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to rig and they're trying to steal the midterm elections. Texas State Representative Yolanda Jones, who represents parts of Houston, went viral this week after she slammed Abbott's attempt to have the legislators return. She was also embroiled in controversy for comparing the redistricting plan to the Holocaust in an August 5 interview on the Don Lemon Show, for which she later apologized. Jones said she serves as her mother's primary caregiver and that other relatives and neighbors back home have stepped up to help, but that she remains worried about her mother's well-being, given Jones's high visibility. My mother can't live by herself, that's the bottom line. So me deciding to quorum break was a big deal. Jones, who is 59, who is running for a Houston back seat in Congress, for a Houston-based seat in Congress, told USA Today, I don't know what would happen to my mom if she opened the door and would they barge in? Would they do? I'm absolutely concerned. Experts warn the end game of the quorum break looks bleak for Democrats, given as the National Party and the liberal activists say they believe the fight could be an inflection point against the Trump administration. They walk out to stop Republicans from hijacking our democracy, said Christiana Harvey, executive director of Stand Up America, a left-leaning voting rights group that has been running ads on social media and TV to mobilize its members against the redistricting efforts. Why not? How come every time the Democrats do something, it's called, oh, the radical left? Well, what about the bigoted, racist right? That's what they are. What about the bigoted, racist right? The obstructionists, the three-card Mali organization. The current Texas special session is scheduled to end August 19, and Democratic legislators say they're committed to staying away from Austin for the long haul. But Abbott can also keep convening legislators over and over. Legal and political experts say while applying legal and law enforcement pressure until the Republican-controlled legislature gets what it wants. What do you mean get what it wants? They're not going to get what they want. All they can do is try to steal it. The governor is adding a headache factor for lawmakers. Mark Jones, a professor of political science at Rice University, told USA Today, even if none of Abbott's efforts bear fruit, they could lead to the need for the runaway legislators to at least respond to a lawsuit and incur costs, lost time, and extra effort, he said. Every one of these Democrats should become independent candidates. Switch parties in the middle of August and become independent. The independent voice is getting stronger and stronger. The independent candidates will progressively move forward in ways that America ever thought was possible. Quorum breaks have been a tool used by the minority party in Texas since 1870. This is nothing new. Often, the move is more of a messaging effort with little success in blocking the specific proposal, experts point out. Texas rules say that Houston or the House must have 2/3 of its members or 100 people present to move forward. Of the 62 House Democrats, a few have remained behind in Austin, meaning only a handful need to be arm twisted into returning to the state for a quorum to be restored and votes to proceed. Jones, the Rice University professor, said the roughly 50 legislators would have to stay out of the state through the end of year holidays and into the spring of 2026 for their long-term strategy to prevail. Asked how long they can stay out of Texas, many of the Democratic legislators pivot in their responses to hammer the argument that Abbott is putting the two-term Republican president's desires over a needed aid package for the destructive and deadly flooding that submerged central parts of the states in July. For now, it's unclear how the public is coming down on the Democrats' framing of the fight. Well, what would you do? What would you do if somebody's trying to change it? How would you feel if your favorite football team, who you know is qualified to be contenders for the NFL championship, and they change the rules in the middle of the season? At the beginning of the season, they decide to change the rules of engagement to favor the opposing teams. How would you feel? Let's put it in simplistic terms. If your favorite NBA team that you knew, who deserves to have an NBA championship going into the finals, that the commissioner decides to change the rules governing the NBA to favor the losing party. You wouldn't like it. Because now it's affecting something that people love. So, a poll conducted by Texas-based Z2A Research, a Democratic-aligned firm, found that 63% of likely voters, including 41% of Republican voters, believe it's unnecessary to be redrawing the congressional district lines several years before it typically happens. An overwhelming majority of 94% say they support funding flood warning systems and relief efforts, according to a Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee memo. What's more important? Taking care of those who are affected by the flood and helping the remaining of survivors get back on their feet and helping grieving family members, or spend unnecessary hundreds of millions and millions of dollars to redraw districts so the Republicans can have more power to be more corrupt. If Republicans are right on the issue, then I'll blast the Democrats. I'm neither Republican nor Democrat. Wherever the Texas battle lands, the Democratic legislators who have fled to Illinois, a few others, have been part of a press conference and public events in California, New York, Massachusetts. Said they have become a stronger caucus as a result. They described bonding in ways they couldn't during regular sessions, and they believe that sense of unity will spread to Democrats in other states as the Trump administration looks to expand its redistricting strategy. Well, there's been a lot in this first segment. So thank you for watching. Until next time, never surrender, never quit.